This is one of our stops here at the Shell Midden and the Salt Pan, and we'll have Michael Brochard, he's our stewardship assistant. He's going to speak a little bit about the Salt Pan. And Cassie Porter, she's our wetland resource specialist, and she'll be talking about the Shell Midden.
A shell midden is basically just a big pile of shells. Historically, Native Americans would come to these areas throughout different times of the year for large feasting events, and whenever they were done eating, they would throw their shells into a big trash pile. Not only did they throw shells here, but they threw other trash items like broken ceramic glass. During archaeological excavations, they also found things like animal bones and even human remains. Throughout the Grand Bay NERR, we actually have 20 different archaeological sites, and some of them can be as high as 3 feet above sea level. Another unique aspect about these habitats is the fact that they're so high up compared to the marsh around them. They can grow different types of hardwoods and shrubs and trees and some more of the stuff that you usually see upland. One of the coolest trees that's here on this mound is the prickly ash. And it's pretty cool because Native Americans were actually able to use it as a type of medicine. So anytime they would get a toothache or something like that, they weren't able to just drive up the road and go to a dentist like we can. So they had to use the plant and chew on the leaves to take away the pain from the toothache. Some of the more common trees that can be found here are things like the live oak that you can see behind me, and some of the Yopon hollies that usually just grow on the side of the woods or within the woodlands, and even some of these more tropical plants like the yuccas. So during an archaeological excavation, they would dig down to find different items that could be in the shell middens. And this is kind of what you would see if you were to participate in one of those excavations. You have just like a deep layer of shells. Some of the things that they would find are oyster shells and clam shells. And one of the oldest oyster shells that they actually found was 150 BC. Other things that they found were ceramic pottery, and there's even kind of, I guess this is a handle that they found from a ceramic pot of some sort.
Of all the interesting habitats we have here at Grand Bay NERR, this is one of my favorite. What we're standing in now is the salt pan. These salt pans form whenever tidal rack and other debris washes in extreme events into these areas of the marsh and actually kill off the vegetation. If you notice over there, we've got high vegetation, and if you notice around us, it's rather barren. Those tidal situations bring in that debris, it sits down and either degrades or washes away, but when it leaves these shallow bowls. And then during successive tidal events, the water comes in, it evaporates from the sun, and it leaves behind a lot of salt on top of the soil. The soil actually can get up to 200 parts per thousand, which is, if you believe it, would be 7 times higher than seawater. That salt content really makes it hard for vegetation, like we see over there, to grow. They're not as salt tolerant, so what we have that colonize here are halophytes, or really salt tolerant plants. If you want to get down right here and look at this one, I'll show you one of the first halophytes. So this guy is called Salicornia virginica. It grows horizontally across the ground like this and roots down as it goes. If you look closely at it, it's really waxy and kind of thick, very succulent. It can hold a lot of water for this arid area right here amidst the marsh. This guy right here, actually, you can eat. Yeah.
Can I try some?
Yeah, have a bite. We call it pickleweed or picklewort. It's really salty, kind of tart. It's interesting. So we've got some other halophytes around. If you look right behind you, we've got another succulent called sea oxeye. The The scientific name is Barrickia frutescens, but it is also succulent with a real thick, waxy leaf, so where it can hold a lot of water as well. It blooms a really pretty yellow flower. One of the non-succulents that can grow in this arid environment with these high salt compositions is this right here. This is saltgrass, or Disticula spicata. This saltgrass can be identified by these spiky alternating points that go up it. Being that it's a pretty barren and arid spot, you don't find a ton of wildlife in the salt pan. One thing we might find though, if you come over here and look, are these small holes. These holes are made by fiddler crabs, which really proliferate out here. They can be identified by one large claw they have that they use for both combat and to attract mates. During times of inundation, being that these are little bowls, you might get a few inches of water to a foot of water in these areas. In those times you get a multitude of fish species, fungulus and other related species. You might be familiar with the bull minnow. It can tolerate these areas that are generally a lot hotter water and really low oxygen. They've got some of the relatives of them that you'll find with them, the sheepshead minnow, the diamond killifish, and Fungulus similis, which is named because it looks almost exactly like a bull minnow, but it has a longer snout and it has a dot on its tail. And then the other thing you may find in here when there's fish in here is wading birds. So now that we've talked about the salt pan formation and what it contains, we can talk about the monitoring that we do here at Grand Bay NERR. We found in some of our sites that we monitor elevation and accretion in these salt pans and in the marsh in general, that elevation change isn't keeping up with sea level rise throughout the reserve. As the water rises, we're finding that these places are inundated more and more. That little bit of extra inundation actually lowers the salinity just enough to have some of the less salt tolerant plants start colonizing these areas. If we step over here, we can see one of those plants right now. This here is Spartina patens, or another low marsh grass that is less salt tolerant. But as you can see, it's growing fine here. If you look over to your right, that sort of bluish hue grass that's low, that's Spartina spartanae. These two grasses wouldn't normally grow in the salt pan, but they are able to colonize with these more frequent flooding events. And eventually, we believe that they will reestablish into these high marsh areas. So now that you're a salt pan expert, be on the lookout for this really cool habitat the next time you're out marsh exploring. And if you're lucky, you might find a white-tailed deer out here using this place for a salt lick.
So today you guys learned about two unique habitats in the estuaries. But one of the problems with these habitats and the beauty that they provide is debris that washes in. So earlier Mike told you about tidal events and how water comes in and gets trapped. Well, along with that water comes trash and debris. And that can be really bad for the wildlife and just the aesthetic beauty of the estuary. So we have things like plastic and different aluminum cans and even fishing gear like crab traps and fishing lines. And whenever it comes here, some of that stuff can just basically get stuck here forever if we don't come and remove it.
Now we're going to look at some of the trash we picked up in the marsh. Last year during our debris cleanup, we collected over 17 tons of trash from the marsh. You can look at some of these items we've collected today and talk about the particular problems we have with those items. Here we've got bottle caps made out of plastic. We've got a plastic lid here. And that plastic can photodegrade and become small little tiny pieces of microplastics, as well as get into the digestive tracts of animals that might consume them. We've got some metal things here as well. We've got an aluminum water bottle and an aluminum can, which can break down and leach toxic metals into the environment as well. Here we've got some flat pieces of plastic, some packing material here, and some sort of wrapper that can either photodegrade down into microplastics as well, or just present the problem that they may be consumed, which could kill an animal. They may become trapped in this. They may get mistaken for prey, and just a multitude of other things. One item we have here at the NERR of debris that's of particular concern is derelict fishing gear. As you can see over here, we have a derelict crab trap that was found in the marsh. During our annual derelict crab trap cleanup, we find just thousands of these things. In fact, last year we found 1,200 of these alone. These are of particular concern because they're designed to be traps. They not only break down into the materials that they're made from that are toxic and or just bad for the environment, but they can actually trap animals inside of these and kill them.
So you guys just learned about how debris can be really bad for these environments and the wildlife and just the overall look of it. So how can you help? Next time you go to the beach or go to the park, bring a trash bag with you. Make sure you clean up the trash, don't leave any behind. And if you see any trash sitting around, you can grab some of it and throw it away inside of a dumpster.
So that way we can keep this environment pristine for wildlife, for us, and for you.